Hey, welcome guys. This is going to be our Unit 2 test review video. As always, please make sure that you can go through these items here and that you are able to do those things. That will really help make sure that you are ready for that test because, again, all the problems here, they cover a lot of the stuff, but not 100% of the stuff. So please make sure that you are familiar with all your vocabulary, everything like that. And those 12 items will really help you to be ready. Okay, so the first one here, it says if point B is between A and C, find the value of X and the measure of BC with the information below. So first I'm going to draw a picture. So it says point B is between A and C. So here's B, and there's A, and there's C. And it says AB is 3 times x plus 7. BC is 2 times x minus 3. And it says AC is 50. Now this is the segment addition postulate, so I know that if I add the two pieces together, it's going to equal up to the whole thing. So I have 3 times x plus 7 plus this 2 times x minus 3, and that's equal to 50. Okay, now I'm just going to solve this for x. So I'm going to distribute here. So this becomes 3x plus 21 plus 2x minus 6, and that's equal to 50. Now I'm just going to combine like terms. 3x and 2x, that's 5x. And then 21 minus 6, that's 15. It's still positive, so it's plus 15. And that's equal to 50. Okay, now we're going to subtract 15 from both sides. So 5x is equal to 35. So divide by 5. So therefore x is 7. So x is 7. And then now they want to know the length of BC. So I'm going to take my x, I'm going to plug it in. It's 2 times 7 minus 3. So 2 times 4, which is 8. So the length of BC is 8. All right, next one here. It says true or false. Write the entire word. Do not just write T or F. Use the diagram below. So it says ray GD bisects angle CGE. So let's see. Ray GD bisects angle CGE. Well, we don't really know right now because we don't know if this angle here is the same as this one. But what we can do is actually use these markings that we have to help determine some stuff. So see right here, we've got a pair of intersecting lines. So I see this is a pair of vertical angles here. So angle 1 is congruent right there to angle CGD. And then we can see here that this CGD has only one line, whereas EGD has these two lines. So we know that they're not congruent to each other. So it would be false because, again, we're not 100% certain what these measures are. So that's why we have to go with false. Okay, now here, it says angle BGC. So BGC. This guy right here. They're asking, is this angle congruent to CGD, this other one right here? And, well, actually it is, because angle 1 and angle 2 have the same markings. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And then angle 1 we know is congruent to angle CGD because they're vertical angles. So basically by the transitive property, we could say that angle 2, angle BGC, is congruent to angle CGD. So that's true. Okay, next thing. This one you really have to read. It says ray NP bisects angle MNQ. So here's angle MNQ. MNQ. And then ray NP, it starts at N and it goes through point P. And this is being bisected, so we know the top half is congruent to the bottom half. Now it says the measure of angle MNP, so right here, that's 6x minus 12. And then it says the measure of angle PNQ, so that's the other half, is 4x plus 8. And they want us to find the measure of angle MNQ, so the whole big thing. So in order to find the measure of the whole big thing, I have to find out what these two are, because I have to find x. So I have to set those equal because I know that this ray is bisecting them. So I know that 6x minus 12 is equal to 4x plus 8. And so now I'm just going to solve here. I'm going to add 12 to both sides. I'll subtract the 4x from both sides as well. Just do that all in one step. So 6x minus 4x is 2x. And 12 plus 8, that's 20. So x is 10. Okay, so we know x is 10. And it says we have to find the measure of angle MNQ. So that's the big whole thing. Now I know that if I plug in x to just one of these, I can multiply it by 2 because the two halves are equal to each other. And if I know both halves, then I've got the whole thing. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 4 times 10 plus 8, because that's P and Q, which is half. So I get 48. So 48 is half of the angle. So the measure of angle MNQ is 2 times 48, which is 96 degrees. So that's the measure of angle MNQ. So there we go. All right, next one here. It says find the value of x, show all work. Okay, these two angles, they're vertical angles, so I know they're equal. So 5x is equal to x plus 16. Okay, take away x, so I get 4x is 16. Divide by 4, so I get x is 4. Very easy, straightforward. Okay, on number 6, I have these two angles. They are making a linear pair, so together they have to add up to 180. So we get 7x plus 10 plus 3x equals to 180. Okay, so I get 10x plus 10 equals 180. Okay, subtract, so 10x equals to 170. So x is equal to 17. Okay, it says point I is between P and T. So draw your picture. So there's P and then T, and point I is between them. It says PI is x squared, and it says IT is 6x, and it says PT is 27. We have to determine the values for x. So again, the piece plus the piece is equal to the whole thing. So x squared plus 6x is equal to 27. Okay, I've got a quadratic. In order to solve it, I need to set it equal to 0 first. So I'm going to subtract this 27 on both sides here. So I'll get x squared plus 6x minus 27 equals 0. And now I can factor this out. So again, you can use your little t-chart. Remember, you have to find two numbers that are going to multiply to a times c. So this is a 1 in front here. So 1 times negative 27. So we're looking for two numbers that multiply to negative 27, but then add up to a positive 6. So negative 27. I have negative 27 and 1. I have 27 times negative 1. I have negative 9 times 3. Or I have 9 times negative 3. Okay, and those are my factors. So I'm just going to add them. A negative 27 plus 1 is a negative 26. 27 minus 1, well, that's 20. Positive 26. And negative 9 plus 3 is a negative 6. And a 9 plus a negative 3 is a positive 6. So I got to go with this one here. So I get x plus 9 times x minus 3. And then you set each one of these equal to 0. So this x plus 9 equals 0. And you solve that and you'll get x equals negative 9. Then you have this x minus 3 equals 0, and you solve that, and you get x equals 3. So you have x equals -9 or +3. And that would be your values for x. Okay, next one here. It says match each vocabulary term with its correct definition. Okay, so let's see. A logical statement that includes a condition and a conclusion. Okay, well that's a conditional statement, so that's A. Okay, formed by switching the hypothesis and the conclusion of a conditional statement. Well, to me that sounds like the converse. So there we go, that's number 5. Okay, writing the negative of a statement, well that's negation, so that's C right here. Okay, D, if P then Q and Q then R are true, then P then R is true. Well, that sounds like the law of syllogism, so that's D for number 12. Okay, proves a statement false by preserving the hypothesis but contradicting the conclusion. So proving a statement false, that's your key thing there. That's a counterexample. So that is 10E. F, the second part of a conditional statement. Well, it's hypothesis and then conclusion. So the second part is the conclusion. So that's F for number 4. A conditional statement with an if and a then. Well, it's if-then form. So that's G. Okay, if P then Q is true, and P is true, then Q is true. So that's those 3 sentences. Again, that's a law of detachment there. Okay, the first part of a conditional statement, that's the hypothesis. So that's number 3 is I. Okay, formed by combining a true conditional and its converse. Okay, that's the biconditional. So that's J. Just remember that because it's combining 2. So the prefix by. Alright, and then K involves negating the hypothesis and conclusion and switching. That's the contrapositive, because remember we said the contrapositive, the longest word does the most things. Okay, created by negating the hypothesis and the conclusion, that's just the inverse, so that's L. So that's your vocab there. Okay, fill in all the blank cells in this table. Okay, so the first thing, conditional. Well, it's if P then Q. So that's P arrow Q. Okay. Converse, you just switch your hypothesis and conclusion. So it's if Q then P. And again, we have the symbols there, Q then P. Okay. If not Q, then not P. Or sorry, if not P, then not Q. So not P implies not Q. That's just negating it, so that's the inverse. Okay, next one here, it says not Q, then not P. So if not Q, then not P. Okay, so we're negating and switching, so that's the contrapositive. Okay, contrapositive. Okay, and then if and only if, those magic words there, that's the biconditional. Okay, biconditional. And this one, it's got an interesting symbol here. There's P and then Q, and it's a double-ended arrow because it could go either way. Okay, 22 through 25, we got to write the statements here that they're asking for and give a counterexample if they're false. So the conditional, the month of April has 30 days. Okay, we're going to write the if then, the original one. If a month is April, then it has 30 days. Okay. If a month is April, then it has 30 days. Okay, that's true, because April does have 30 days. All right, so then let's go down here. And now we're going to do our converse. Okay, so that means we just have to switch the hypothesis and the conclusion. So remember, month is April. That's our hypothesis. Having 30 days, that's the conclusion. So we're going to switch it. If a month has 30 days, then it is April. Okay, so if a month has 30 days, then it is April. Well, then that's got to be false because there are other months with 30 days that are not April. So for example, September. September has 30 days. And we're meaning only 30 days here. Okay, inverse. This is negating your hypothesis and your conclusion. So if a month is not April, then it does not have 30 days. And again, that's false because so they're saying if a month isn't April, then it's not going to have 30 days. So a month other than April doesn't have 30 days. So basically, we're trying to find a month that's not April, but that does have 30 days here. So for example, November, right? November has 30 days. Basically, what they're saying is that April is the only month that has 30 days. And well, that's not true. Other months only have 30 days. Okay, contrapositive. This is going to negate and switch. So if a month does not have 30 days, then it is not April. And that's going to be true because if it's got something other than 30 days, then it's not going to be April. Like it can't even be that possibility of being April. Okay. Identify the hypothesis and conclusion of this conditional statement. Perpendicular lines form right angles. Okay. Perpendicular lines, that's your hypothesis. Forming right angles, that's our conclusion. But we're not going to word it like that. I'm going to say if two lines are perpendicular, then they form right angles. There you go. Okay, 27. Which statement is a counterexample for the following conditional? Okay, so if you live in Springfield, that's our hypothesis. Then you live in Illinois. That's our conclusion. And circling and underlining and labeling, that is showing your work. So make sure that you're doing that on the test. So if you live in Springfield, then you live in Illinois. Okay, let's see here. Sarah Lucas lives in Springfield. Is that a counterexample? No. We're trying to show that you can live in a place called Springfield, but that doesn't mean that you have to live in Illinois. Okay? Jonah Lincoln lives in Springfield, Illinois. Well, that's not a counterexample. Okay, Billy Jones lives in Chicago, Illinois. Well, the Illinois part's okay, but we're not trying to disprove Chicago or disprove Springfield. So that doesn't work. Aaron Naismith lives in Springfield, Massachusetts. Okay, there we go. They're saying that you live in Springfield, but guess what? They're not living in Illinois. They're actually living in Massachusetts. It's another town named Springfield. Okay. Identify the new statement. Identify if the new statement is the converse, inverse, contrapositive, or none of the above. So this is where circling and underlining, labeling, that's where you're going to get all your points. So if you go outside in the rain, then you might get a cold. Okay? So here we go. If you do not go outside in the rain, okay, so that's our hypothesis again, but it's been negated, so it's not P. Then you will not get a cold. So this is not Q. So not P, not Q, that's just negating, that's the inverse. Okay, if you do not eat vegetables, then you won't get your vitamins. Okay, let's see here. If you get all your vitamins, so getting all your vitamins, that's the opposite of the original, so that's not Q. Then you eat vegetables, okay, there we go. That's not P, because the original was do not eat vegetables. Well, now it says you eat vegetables, so that's the opposite. So we switched and negated, so that's going to be the contrapositive. Okay, if you're eating a cookie, then you need a glass of milk. If you're not eating a cookie, so that's P again, but it's negated, then you don't need a glass of milk. That's not Q. So not P, not Q, inverse. If you earn an 86%, then I will give you a B. If you do not earn a B, so that's not Q, then I will not give you an 86. That's not P. So negated and switched, it's going to be contrapositive. If an angle is more than 90, so more than 90 is our hypothesis, then it is not acute. If an angle is not acute, so that's Q, then it is not more than 90 degrees. So that one here is not P. So they went from P to Q and then went from Q to not P. That doesn't match, so that's none of the above. If you have Mr. Kraft as a teacher, so have Mr. Kraft as a teacher, then you are a winner. Okay. If you are a winner, that's Q, then you have Mr. Kraft as your teacher. That's P. All they did was switch them, so that's the converse. Okay, 34 through 35. Below is a true conditional statement. Write the converse of the statement and determine if the converse is true or false. Okay, if a figure is a square, then it has 4 sides. So you have to do the converse, so we just switch. If a figure has 4 sides, then it is a square. Well, that's false, because 4 sides figures are not always squares. Conditional. If 2 lines are parallel, then they do not intersect. So if 2 lines do not intersect, then they are parallel. Okay, and this is actually false because these lines could be skew lines. And we'll get into that definition soon, but just because they're not crossing doesn't mean that they are parallel. Okay, circle whether the conclusion made in line C is valid or invalid using the information in A and B. Only if it is valid, use the line provided to tell which law of logic supports it. So that's either detachment or syllogism. So it says, Mr. J goes to the movies. So Mr. J goes to the movies every Friday and Saturday night. Today is Friday, so that's Q. Mr. J goes to the movies. That's P. So let's see here. It went P then Q, Q then P. Does that follow the correct order? No, so it is therefore invalid. If you study, that's P, then you will get an A on your math test. That's Q. If you study, that's P, then you will be valedictorian. That's a new one, so that's R. If you get an A on your math test, that's Q, then you will be valedictorian. That's R. So it goes P then Q, P then R, Q then R. Doesn't follow the law of syllogism, so that's invalid. Okay, here we go. If angle 2 is acute, then angle 3 is obtuse. So angle 2 is acute, then angle 3 is obtuse. Okay, if angle 3 is obtuse, that's Q. Then angle 4 is acute. That's R. So now we can go and say, if angle 2 is acute, P, then angle 4 is acute, R. So there we go. It went P then Q, Q then R, P then R. That is valid from the law of syllogism. Okay, next one. It says state the conclusion and write if the law of detachment or the law of syllogism is being used. If neither law is being used and no conclusion can be made, write no conclusion. All right. If you are a Texan, so are a Texan, then you are an American. Jim is a Texan, so that matches P. Therefore, Jim is an American. And this is the law of detachment. Okay, next one. If an animal is a dog, then it has 4 legs. Spot has 4 legs. That's Q. So when P then Q, and then Q. Doesn't follow the order, so no conclusion. Okay, next one. It says, if you are a hockey player, then you know how to ice skate. If you know how to ice skate, then you are really cool. Okay, so far that's following it. So we can now make our third sentence, our conclusion. If you are a hockey player, then you are really cool. And I'm making this conclusion because we're following the law of syllogism. Okay. If you live in Houston, then you live in Texas. If you live in Dallas, then you live in Texas. Okay, it went P then Q, R then Q. This doesn't follow anything, so it's no conclusion. Okay, next one. If an angle's measure is greater than 90, so measure greater than 90, that's our hypothesis, then the angle is obtuse. That's our conclusion. So now it says the measure of angle T is 95 degrees. So that's going along with P. It's greater than 90. So we can conclude the measure of angle T is obtuse. And that would be the law of detachment. Okay, so that's it. Just going ahead and make sure you watch this, write down all the notes, go through all your notes, and it's pretty straightforward. Just make sure you also study those properties for the algebraic ones. You'll see that on the writing one. But other than that, you're all good. Good luck, guys.